Thank you for joining us this evening. We are delighted to have Adina White, a member of Kinloss. Adina has been a member for Kinloss 15 years and 1 month to be precise. Adina started a dessert business about 2 years ago. She has over 1,000 followers on Instagram, and we are delighted to have her this evening. And on behalf of Kinloss, thank you, Adina, and also wishing everyone a Chag Sameach.
Hello, me time. Hi, I'm Adina of Desserts by Adina. Tonight it is my pleasure to bake with you some cheesecake brownies for Shavuot. To all those that laugh, they freeze beautifully. Pop them in the freezer when you're done and they're cool, and you can take them out on Sunday morning. I've tried to choose something that you don't need to have any special equipment for. We've got somebody on the question, so if you've got a question, put it in the chat and I'll get it. But we couldn't have anyone off mute because then I wouldn't be able to concentrate. If you fancy taking your cameras off, please do. I can see everybody, which is great and really, really nice. So if you, oh, thank you. If you fancy taking yourself off, not camera, that would be brilliant. Okay, and we're going to start straight away. The first thing we're going to do is you should have weighed out your chocolate. So we're looking at 150 grams of cooking chocolate. Yeah, if everyone's got it, bro. We're going to start with this because we want it to be melted in time. You can do this in the microwave. And when it's just me, I normally do, but there's a chance that it can burn. So for the purposes today, I'm going to be putting it on what's called a bain-marie. So I've got a stove here with a pan of hot water. And what I'm going to do is put your butter. So we've got 150 grams of butter, and pop that into the chocolate bowl. Should have a nice big bowl for the chocolate. Okay. Brill, thank you very much for showing me those that have, that they're up to me. Everyone up to me? Hold up your ball if you're up to me. Brilliant, another up to me, brill. Anyone else? Someone saying 1 minute? Okay, what we're gonna do, put it on the pan of boiling water, or pop it in the microwave, but if you're doing it in the microwave, just put it on for 30 seconds at a time, okay? Just gonna make sure it's all mixed together. Okay. Now, the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna prepare the tin. So, if you've got your baking tin, so as I said, any 20 centimetre tin will do. If it's not quite that, that will also be fine. So you've got your tin. A nice trick to line your tin, you want a piece of greaseproof paper that is bigger than the tin, so that you're going to have an overhang. So at the end, you can just lift your brownies out by pulling on the greaseproof paper. I'll show you what I mean in a minute. If you've got a spare square of greaseproof paper, so just, can you see me here? A small square like this, you get some spare butter on it, like that, and you just grease around the edges, not the bottom, just grease around the edges. Okay, that will mean that your greaseproof paper won't move around and you won't get those crinkles around the side. Okay. You take the greaseproof paper and just gently push it against the sides. As you can see on two sides, you see this here? I've got an overhang, so when it's cooked, all I have to do is simply lift it up. There's no sort of fighting to get it out of the tin. Okay, if you're ready, lift up your tin so we all know you're ready. Show me if you're ready. Yay, I can see some tins. I can see a tin. Anyone else's tin? Brilliant. Okay, I don't want to go too fast. All right, brilliant. Next thing, obviously, turn on your oven. My oven is already on, but go and turn on your oven onto 180 degrees. Okay, if you've got a fan oven, that's fine. That's fine, it doesn't make that much of a difference. Just be aware that some ovens are hotter than others. So when I do the timings, you'll just have to, it's an approximation. If your chocolate's on the stove in the bowl, just give it a quick stir to make sure it's all going to be melting nice and evenly. If you chop the chocolate quite finely, you'll find that it'll actually melt fairly quickly. Okay. So now we're going to jump over to making the cheesecake mixture. So you need another big bowl. Sorry about all the washing up, but you know, stick it all in the dishwasher if you've got one, or get someone in to dishwash for you, like son, a daughter, spouse. Take the cheese and put it in the bowl. So as I say, the Shevington is really good, works nicely. And it comes now in the 225 gram tub, which is useful because then you don't have any wastage, because that's really annoying. Give the cheese a nice stir so it starts to go a little bit creamy. Well, nothing too exciting, just keep it going a little bit so it's not lumpy. Yeah, and that's pretty much, that's fine. And I'm going to add in, so we had 75 grams of sugar. I'm going to pop that in. Careful, don't do the brownie sugar because that's got more. Okay, and then 1 egg. Always do it in a glass to check if there are any blood spots, but generally with white eggs, you're not going to get that. Okay, glass to one side. Just going to turn my stove down a little bit. Okay, and finally we're going to use some vanilla. Sometimes it's really important to use really good vanilla. Sometimes you can get away with using the imitation vanilla. For a cheesecake, I tend to use really good stuff just because I think it helps the flavour a lot. I'm just going to put in some of my vanilla. I'd say probably half a teaspoon, a nice half teaspoon. Okay, and then you're going to give all this a really, really good stir. Sorry about the noise. You want it to just be nice and creamy, no lumps. You can see now the little one. And that's pretty much the cheesecake mixture ready, nice and easy. Everyone got their cheesecake mixture ready? Lift it up, show me. That's fine, you're still mixing? Well, wait a minute. Yeah, I can see some lifted bowls, thanks. Brill. Okay. Now, so once that's all nicely mixed, I'm going to pop it to one side. So just put it to the side so I don't need to worry about it next to our prepared tin. Okay, I'm going to have another quick stir of my chocolate and butter just to see how we're getting on. Mine's actually almost there, which is great. As I say, it depends how big your pieces of chocolate were, how hot your stove is. Something that's actually quite important, I should have said at the beginning, is that you want to make sure that the bottom of your bowl doesn't actually touch the hot water, otherwise you'll end up burning the chocolate. The reason you do melting chocolate like this is to keep it at a much lower temperature and stop you burning. So what are we going to do now? You're going to take another bowl. Sorry about all the bowls again. And this time we're going to put in the sugar for the brownie. So that was 225 grams of sugar. That's going in the bowl. Then we're going to add 2 eggs. Okay. Again, I'm just going to crack them one at a time into the glass to make sure that there are no blood spots. Yeah. Put those in the sugar. And then we're going to add a little bit of vanilla. Again, about half a teaspoon. Here I'm not using the fancy, really, really fancy Dan stuff. I'm using, where am I? Can you see that? That's the one that I'm using for this. It just feel that it isn't quite as important. The flavour isn't as prominent. So I'm going to do about a teaspoon there of vanilla. And then with the whisk, I'm going to whisk it all together. You want it to go quite creamy. You're not looking to massively whisk it. It's not like a Kenwood job, but just a bit light and airy, so we'll go a bit lighter in colour. If at any point you want me to slow down, just let me know, and I will try and see if you are saying that. Okay, that's kind of what you're looking for. Can you see me there? Yeah. So it's like a nice creamy texture. Okay. Then what we're going to do is everyone ready with their eggs? Show me your eggs. Those look nice and light. Yeah, those look light. Can't see, it's a pink bowl. Yeah, grill. Fabulous. Amazing. Okie dokie. Now I'm going to have another look at my chocolate, which I think is ready. So, can you see this? Okay. The chocolate is, I think, here we go. Perfect. Chocolate and butter. You need a quick stir sometimes, just to make sure it's all totally melted. But yeah, there we go. Is everybody's chocolate melted? Chocolate and butter, are they all melted? Let me know if they're not. Yeah, everyone's nodding. People I can see, yeah, they're stirring their bowls, they're showing me they're ready. Grill. Okay, so now we're going to, I'm just going to get rid of this whisk. I don't really want it anymore. I'm using a spatula because it's nice and easy. See, for those you can see my face. Home is where the heart is. I like that. And then just put the eggs into the chocolate. Okay, make sure you've got it all. It's why I like a spatula. Didn't lose anything. I'm going to get rid of this little spoon as well. More is more when it comes to spoon size. I love this bit. Can you see? Can you see? I just love the magic of two colours going to one colour. When you do this kind of thing with baking with toddlers, I think it's magic. You say, where's the eggs gone? I love it. There we go. When it's all combined, I'm going to pop my spatula on my prepared baking tin because I hate mess on the table. And then I'm going to put the sieve on the chocolate mixture. Yeah. Great. So now we have got 100 grams of plain flour. So when you're ready, show me and I will carry on. Everyone's still mixing. Yeah, you've got your plain flour in your sieve. Yeah, I'm going to put, I can see everyone's starting to do that. So I'll put that in. Mine actually needs, my siev's a very fine sieve. So I am just going to have to push it through with a spoon. The reason I'm sieving it doesn't really do anything to the texture, but you'll see in a minute that when we stir it, sometimes you can get blobs of flour, and it's just annoying. So the reason I sieve it is to get rid of any blobs and to make the stirring together much, much easier. Yeah, my siev's quite fine. It takes a long time with this one. Milky ones, normally big with the power one. Okay. Before I stir, some salt. So, something really interesting to note is that I'm going to say a pinch of salt. Now, a pinch of salt is not what you think. I'm going to show you what it is not. A pinch of salt is not, can you see on my hand? It's not that. That is not a pinch of salt. I'll show you what a pinch of salt looks like. Now, that is what a pinch of salt looks like. Miles more than you might think. And the salt just offsets against the sweetness and it makes it much yummier. So put that in as well. Yeah. You can see lots of salt being poured, brill. Fab. And then we're going to mix it all in. As I say, this is also a really good bit. I like the magic. Nice to go around the edges, just scrape it in. Okay. You can see on the little one. Takes a minute or so. Yeah. You can see that that is combined. So you don't want to over mix it. So once it's combined, I'm going to leave it alone. Interestingly, brownies are something that can be made gluten-free really, really easily. Some things the texture is not quite as good. With brownies, if you do a direct swap for gluten-free flour blend, the Dove's Farm plain flour blend is really good. And then you add, probably for this, I'd add a generous quarter of a teaspoon of xanthan gum, or maybe even up to half. And you can really barely taste the difference. Some things really make a big difference when they're gluten-free. The brownies really, really don't. So it's worth adding to your repertoire if you ever have a celiac. The other thing to note is that the brownies can obviously be done on their own without the cheesecake, and they can also be made parve if you are doing them with margarine as opposed to butter. Nice and versatile. All right, my prepared dish. Everyone ready? Everyone nicely stirred? Yeah, thumbs up. Oh, I've got a thumbs up from the side there. Thumbs up, bro. Okay. So I'm going to put in about 3/4 of the mixture. No, I'm going to move it to the other side. You want the nice brownie base. You don't want the cheese on the bottom. And about that much. Okay. And push it into the sides. And keep your spoon in the bowl. As I say, I'm a sucker for a clean surface. Thank you. Less tidying. Once you've got about 3/4 of your mixture in the bowl, lift up your tin so I know what you're doing. Yeah. Wait till everyone's with me. Yeah, I can see lots of lifted tins. Okay, all the way to the corners. And you'll see because you put the butter around the side of the tin, it's going to, because you put the butter around the side of the tin, the greaseproof's sticking to it, and you don't get the creases in the same way. Okay, now I'm just going to try to work out with that. All right, now go back to your cheesecake mixture. So I'm going to get your cheesecake mixture back. Give it a nice little stir. Might have separated a little bit, don't worry about that. Yeah. All right. And now what you want to do, to make this look good, you're going to do little blobs all the way along. You've got almost enough to cover the surface totally. I can't tilt it. If I can tilt it. I can't tilt it because then the brownie goes everywhere. Because I hate waste, and otherwise I'd eat it, I am going to use my spatula again. Don't tell the kids, they get cross when I don't use a spatula. See, I can see there's quite a lot left in the bowl after I thought I was finished with the spoon. Okay. When you've blobbed your cheesecake mixture, let me know. You've got a thumbs up. Yeah, I can see someone's lifted that tin. Brilliant. That looks very pretty. Yeah. Lots of activity. Yeah, I can see another thumbs up. Brill. Still see some scraping. Nice scraping. Yeah, thumbs up. Yeah. All right. I think we're ready to keep going. Oh no, we still got. Yeah, we're good. Okay. So now I'm going to, you can see this, I'm going to drizzle the rest of the chocolate over the top. Any old, it doesn't really matter, we're going to use a spatula on it in a minute, a knife on it in a minute anyway. You still want to have plenty of cheesecake showing, so don't want too much over the top. All idea is that when you serve them, you'll still want to be able to see that they are actually cheesecake brownies rather than regular. Okay. And put my bowl to one side. Oh, before I carry on, someone said, what's the name of the vanilla I've used? I've used two different types of vanilla. The one I used in the cheesecake was this one, can you see? It's Nielsen Massey, and this is vanilla bean paste. Now this stuff is really, really, really expensive. So I'd only use this if I wanted something that was a vanilla flavor. I'd use it in ice creams and in cheesecake and anything else that we are advertising as a vanilla flavor. If I say something's vanilla flavor, it's going to have real vanilla. It's not got any vanilla flavor in it. In the brownie mixture, I've used this, which still not cheap, is a lot more expensive than real vanilla. And in chocolate flavored products, I find actually it doesn't really make all that much difference. Oh, one moment. Can you sorry about that. So that's what I use when it's in a chocolate product. Okay. If you get your knife, okay, and you're going to give it a very gentle swirl. You don't want to mix it all together because you actually want to make sure that you've still got bits of cheese, but you want to make sure that it's in all the pieces and it looks nice and pretty. So lift it up and over so that you've got it all over the place. It's really nice and gently. There you go. That looks so pretty. Okay. All right. And I have to tell you that that is pretty much all there is to it. Now, let me, so if you can see, I don't want to tilt it too much because it's all going to run away with me. But it's fine. You can see that I've got a nice swirl on the top. Yeah. And then that is now ready to go into the oven. It's going to take between 35 and 40 minutes to cook. It depends. Now, what I've done, I've actually got one in the oven now that's ready almost to come out. So I could show you exactly how much wobble you want. A brownie isn't a cake. You don't want it to be a clean knife. You know, if you're doing a cake and you say you put a skewer in to make sure that it's done, that is not what you want with a brownie. If you're looking for a nice gooey brownie, you want it to have a slight wobble when it comes out. If it's already firm, it's going to be a much more cake-like texture. And if it's too runny, when you cut it, it's all going to splooge everywhere, which is also not really what you're after, but will be probably delicious. So I'm going to put this on the side. Excuse me, I'm going to check on my brownie that's in the oven. It's actually only had, oh no, it's had 33 minutes, my brownie. So I will have a look. Okay, I'm actually not unhappy with that. I think that's almost done. I might maybe leave it in for another minute. Can you see? I'm trying, it's a really hard thing to show. There's slight movement in that brownie. It's not sloshing around all over the place. Because if we do that, as I say, it'd be delicious with a spoon if you go dive in together into the pan, but otherwise it's not going to cut. So if you look at that, that is the kind of texture actually that I'm after, which is really lovely. I'm going to go and close my oven now. So I thought I was going to put that one back in. Just going to pop my brownie in and set my beeper. It's always better to set the beeper for less time so you can check it, and if it's not ready, put it in. You can't do it for less time if you've set the beeper for 40 minutes. So always set it for about 32 minutes and then just keep checking it. Something I have been asked. Same recipe for normal brownies? Yes, except you'd have to scale it up because this obviously would make a very thin brownie if it was just the brownies on their own. But pretty much depends what flavor brownies you want, but this would be the same basic recipe. I will show you, these brownies would be delicious. So yeah, I've got here some more I made earlier. These are cooked ones. You see? Yeah, very good. These are the brownies that I have made earlier to show you what they look like when they're cut. So you've got a nice bit of cheesecake in all those brownies. They would be yummy with some chocolate ganache as a sauce. But if you're just having them for breakfast, that might be a bit over the top. But, you know, it's sugarless and yum, so calories don't count. Don't ask me how many calories. Absolutely no idea. Treats don't have calories, they just make you happy. Has anyone got any questions? Please, I'm very happy to hear from you, happy to answer. Anybody? I'm just waiting. I'm not sure if you're allowed to unmute yourself at this point if you've got a question. I'll have to ask Shimon. Are they allowed to unmute themselves if they've got a question now?
Yeah, sure. One
yeah,
question.
Okay. It'll be a quicker way than going through the chat.
Yeah. Do you have a recipe for the ganache?
Oh, now that is a tricky one. A ganache, I would just do the cooking chocolate again, and some soya cream. So the Alpro soya cream, and probably a ratio of 1 to 1. So if I was using 100 grams of chocolate, I'd use 100 grams of the soya cream. And then I'd just do it by look. If it looked like a sauce that I'd want to pour over something, then I'd call it a day. If I think that it needs to be thinner, I'd just add some more cream. The best way to make a ganache would be to heat the cream first, and then you take it off the heat, and then you whisk in the chocolate.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
First of all, that was an amazing demonstration. And
I have to do a disclaimer here. That one's biased. Go on.
And I have to say that I'm very excited about my brownies, but I was wondering if I wanted to make this recipe with maybe some different toppings or inside things. Have you got any suggestions of anything else that I might put in?
Really, the world's your oyster. Anything you fancy. Yeah, look at that. You can do Lotus biscuits inside. You could do Oreo biscuits inside. You could do a thick raspberry jam in there. Caramel. What else could you do? Peanut butter. It depends. Are you a peanut butter person? Chava and tahina are delish. If that floats your boat, it's quite an acquired taste. But if you love it, you love it. Trying to think what else I've done. Nuts go brilliantly, but sometimes better to steer clear, depending on who you've got. Really, anything you find in your cupboard that you fancy sticking in there, have a go. The thing to note would be, depending on what you put in it, will mean that it cooks at different rates. So it depends. The starting point for a regular brownie, I would say, would be about 25 minutes. And when you add things in, the cooking time gets longer.
Thank you very much. I'm going to make peanut butter ones as well. They sound amazing.
Yep, I'll come round.
Thank you. You're invited.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Can I just order them from you instead and make them myself?
You know, people who ordered these from me, I did say, why not come to a free bake-along? And most people said, no, you can make them for me. So you can have with pleasure, make them for yourself, or you can just get me to do the hard work and knock on my door between 5 and 9 on a Thursday. And you can
Good idea. I'm tempted.
Would rather you delivered. Could you please deliver?
Okay. Yes, could I please deliver to Manchester? Okay, timing for baking in the oven. I would say start at half an hour. And after half an hour, you want to keep checking. So that's on 180. It will depend on your oven temperature because different ovens are different temperatures. My milchik oven, I know, runs quite low. So I have to put it on 190 because 190 is 180. Someone very clever bought me an oven thermometer, which I use quite regularly, and it tells me that my ovens aren't quite true to the temperature. So it's just about your oven. Put your oven on, if you don't know your oven, put your oven on 180, start for 30 minutes, and you can just keep adding on time. As I say, you can't take off time. Someone else has asked me a question. Ooh. How did I start baking as a career? Very interesting question. I am a pharmacist by training, which is not a million miles actually from cooking science because it's all about being precise. Yeah, we've got a dog. No chocolate for the dog. Which is, and I was doing it pharmacy, and I had children, and my career digressed, and then I was into training. And after I had my third baby, it was not for me to leave the house anymore. And I did a few things, and as a hobby, I would always bake, and I would always be complimented on my baking. And I thought, you know what, I'll give it a go and see how we get on. And I really, honestly, when I started, I thought I would be baking a few bits on a Thursday for friends, and that was it. But it seems to have got a little bit bigger than that. And it became a whole proper business that I do pretty much full time. We've got another one. Is it harder to bake for larger quantities? Short, yes. They don't all scale up recipes, which means that quite often you'll have to do batch after batch after batch. Some things work nicely with lots. I'm making 600 biscuits this week. And to make lots of biscuits is much easier because the dough's all the same. You've just got to have a lot of oven space and a lot of patience and be capable of hearing all that bell ringing, because every 3 minutes, if you've got 4 ovens going with biscuits only going in for 10 minutes at a time, that dinger is always going. Any other questions?
I have a question. If you would want to buy them from you, have you got anything else that you would sell sort of similar to it that you don't like?
Yeah. So if you send me your email address, I send out my menu regularly. So I have a different menu that changes seasonally. I'll have a new one for each of the chagim, and I tend to have one for autumn or winter, and then another one for spring summer. So the new spring summer one is coming out the day after Shavuot, hopefully. I'm dead excited for that one.
And one more question. If you invite you for a Yom Tov meal, do you bring a dessert for instead of a present?
I quite like being treated to new desserts, but I will bring a dessert if I'm lucky enough to be invited for a Yom Tov meal. I will always bring a treat. You don't have to be invited to anybody, by the way. I love giving treats. I love making people happy.
What's your favorite thing to bake or make?
It's awful when people ask that. It's like saying, what's your favorite child? Okay, so I'll go from the Shavuot menu just because it's the one I'm dealing with at the moment. And I'm going to make a huge confession here. I am not a cheesecake fan. I struggle with cheesecake. It's not my thing. I don't love it. And I tend to find that for things I don't love as much, I don't enjoy baking as much. I love cream. Give me anything with cream and I'm in heaven. So actually from the Shavuot menu, the tiramisu is my absolute favorite. I'm making that for me for Yom Tov because I quite frankly would take a spoon and eat an entire bowl. Yeah, is that it?
A massive, massive, massive thank you to Adina and all those who have joined us, not just from Kinloss, but also clearly from Manchester as well. There'll be a recording of this made available straight after. And thank you very much. Chag Sameach to all of you and have a lovely evening. Thank you.
Thank you.